Hi, everyone. It's so good to see you again. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Yedda, and I'm here to film a little bit of an origin story video today. I'm moving into a completely different place with my work this year in 2023. I'm super excited, moving into a much larger platform, going on to a digital online group coaching course offering. And I was asked to film my origin story and a couple of other videos. And I thought it would be a great idea to just invite you into my home. If you did come hang out with me, this is where you'd see me. It's my favorite spot on the couch with my favorite little doggie. So this is Saja. Everybody gets to meet her. This is her first film debut. And we're just hanging out here, and we want to just share a little bit with you about where we're going, and more in particular, how I got to where I'm at today and why I'm inviting you to go with me. So with this origin story, I sat down and I thought, what am I going to talk about? Many of you who've worked with me already, you've read my book, you've worked with me, you know a lot of my history, and we can start all the way back at the beginning. If you've been on my podcast, you've probably heard even more granular detail. And the story that came up for me that really hit home, that I haven't really shared on any platform that I can think of, was in June of 1990. And so the night I was due to graduate high school, I was sitting in Bonaire Home for Girls. And if you don't know what that is, basically it was a juvenile detention center that people got admitted to, or committed to, if you would, for lack of a better word, who were just beyond reform. And I had been in a lot of trouble as a teenager. And I was sitting in this home for girls, staring out of the window. All of my friends were graduating high school. And at 17 years old, I had no diploma. My best option was to get a GED, a general education diploma. So I was a high school dropout. And I was sitting there looking out that window, and I was thinking, what am I going to do with my life? I don't have an education. I'm a high school dropout. I don't have any skill sets. Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? My best option was, as I mentioned, to get my GED and to go into the military to get myself out of going to jail for some of the crimes and charges that I was facing. So I went in to see the judge the next day, joined the military, and got my GED, and thought that was the best option that I was ever going to have. And again, without all the gory details in this video, it did not end well. I got kicked out of the military. The word rebel has been on my forehead, I think, most of my life. And as I was going through this journey as a young adult, honestly, the one emotion I think I felt the most was hopelessness. I never felt like there was ever going to be any hope for me. It was always going to happen for other people. I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't funny enough. I wasn't lovable enough. Whatever blank you want to put in there, the I am not enough was just a story that I lived with my entire life. And I always was curious, how do other people get there? How do they go from having nothing to having everything? One of my favorite TV shows to watch when I was a kid was Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And if you've not seen it, if you're a younger generation, you probably do need to Google it. And Robin Leach was the host of this show. And he would take you all over the world and show you these beautiful places. And the stories of the rags to riches always appealed to me. And I was fascinated. How do you get from here to there? And so that led me to a lifelong journey of trying a lot of different labels, stories, activities, skill sets on, and none of them ever really felt quite right. I was always trying to be somebody else. I was doing their work. I was taking their courses. I was learning what they needed to know. And so as I went through this journey, all of a sudden, I found myself finding my own stride. Now, I will tell you, today, it's not 1990. As I mentioned, it's 2023. It's been quite a few years since all of that happened. And now, at the age of 50, yes, I've found my stride, and I run around and I can now say in my own mind, this is me, this is who I am. But the work I did to figure out how to understand who I was and to figure out how I could believe I was enough no matter what is what I'm teaching in my online courses. Now, I went from a high school dropout with a GED to this morning teaching online with coaching.com with some of the top professors from around the world out of Harvard and Cambridge. And you're probably wondering, how did you do that? Now, I'll give you all the details, but you're not going to do what I did. I did create a roadmap. I created a course through my journey of figuring all this out. And what I like to tell people is through my PhD of suffering that I gathered and gained. But working with these thought leaders, every time I would take a course or do another certification in coaching or mindfulness or understanding patterns and behaviors, I would get one more piece. And so as I'm in this journey, and now I'm teaching people how to cultivate their own story and create their own roadmap, what's different about what I figured out how to do was I'm not trying to get anyone to be anything other than themselves. And so in this, I figured out how to understand, who am I? What do I want? How do I get there? And so this little girl who was sitting in this home for girls, who was potentially going to stay there till she was 21 and serve her time, who then went into the military, who got kicked out, who then went on to do some really cool and amazing things, and you can learn all about that in a lot of my other videos and stories. What happened to me, I believe is possible that it can happen for anyone else. And so in this phase of where I'm at in my life, it blows my mind that I get to wake up and sit with these thought leaders from all over the world and help teach other coaches how to be coaches. But here's what I want to say to you. I've always been curious about, and I've always wanted to help other people do what I did. And so now I feel like I'm really blessed to just kind of bridge that gap, if you will. So I've never fit in with the thought leaders at that PhD level for the research. And I've never, ever really wanted to go back to being in the high school dropout conversation. And what I realized was, oh, I've created a really cool roadmap and a way to help people understand how to do that middle part. We really need to cultivate the ability to understand what is self-awareness? How to ask the questions. Who am I? What do I want? And so in this little origin story, as I give you a little peek into where I was, a lot of people that see me today never could imagine that I was this, tattooed, covered, addicted, alcoholic young girl sitting there with no formal education, looking out of a barred window, dreaming of what life could be. It's taken me quite a few years to get here. This isn't for the faint of heart, and there certainly isn't a cookie cutter program available. But what I do know from the work that I've done and from the success I've gained is it is possible. And so as I sit here on my couch with the world's cutest little doggy, and I imagine what life would have been like had I not had those dots connect, if I had not had those experiences to take me to the next step, where would I be? And also the question does occur to me, if I hadn't had those experiences, I wouldn't have been able to create a roadmap to help other people do the same. So have you ever found yourself sitting out there wondering, is this all there is? Will I ever get to wherever it is that you dream of going? Well, I know that's a question I was in, and I'm so grateful that I found a lot of answers along the way. I may not have all the answers that you want or need, but I do promise you this. I have an enormous amount of questions and curiosity. I have a breadth and depth of knowledge that I've gained since that 17-year-old girl took that step forward in her life. And I want to invite you to continue to keep stepping forward. I'd love to have you work with us as we go into this online community. I'd love to share with you some of the tools and resources that I've created. And I'd love to give you the opportunity to believe that you're enough and know that no matter where it is that you are, it is possible for you to get where you're going. So thanks so much for hanging out with me and Saja on the couch. There's a lot more that we could share, but I've been told that on YouTube, I get 10 to 12 minutes tops or I lose your attention. So I'm sitting here and wanting to share enough information to create some curiosity, to inspire you to go a little bit deeper on the journey. So I'd love to offer this story to give you hope, to give you a little bit of inspiration, and most importantly, to give you an invitation to start to do the work, to take the step to create the life that you dream of. I'm living proof that it is possible. I would not be where I am today if I hadn't done the work that I'm offering in my new online group coaching. I hope to see you there, and so does Saja. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.